Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Lord Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Whole family is on the call.
It is one hour time we used for traveling to my home after lockdown there.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. బాగున్నారా మాతాజీ? హరే కృష్ణ. అరే అవును, మిమ్మల్ని నేను యాడ్ చేశాను ఆ గ్రూప్ లో. అప్పుడు మాతాజీ చెప్పింది నన్ను. అయ్యో రామా, ఇప్పుడు గుర్తుకొచ్చి మిమ్మల్ని చూడడం గుర్తుకొచ్చి. సారీ మాతాజీ, నేను పనులలో పడి. let me do it right away.
మళ్ళీ షేర్ చేయండి రోజు కాంటాక్ట్.
ఏం మాతాజీ?
మళ్ళీ పంపించమంటారా కాంటాక్ట్?
లే, పంపించారు. మానస మాతాజీ ఉన్నది ఇక్కడ.
ఓకే ఓకే.
యా, జస్ట్ హావ్ టు యాడ్ అంతే. ఏదో పనిలో పడి మిస్ అయిపోయాను. స్టక్ అయిపోయింది ఫోన్. అందరు జాయిన్ కూడా అవుతున్నారు. జస్ట్ ఇన్ ద మీన్ టైమ్ ఐ జస్ట్ యాడ్. అదే 2 నెంబర్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇవి. 96032088. ఏది దీంట్లో వాట్సాప్?
ఏదైనా పర్వాలేదు ప్రభుజీ, రెండు ఉన్నాయి.
యా, బీజీ కాంటాక్ట్ యాడ్ చేయడానికి చాలా టైం పట్టింది. సమ్ ఎర్రర్ వస్తున్నది. ఎస్, యా, డన్. హరే కృష్ణ. సారీ మాతాజీ, మర్చిపోయాను నేను. హరే కృష్ణ.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm just sharing the screen.
Prabhuji, I have one clarification. Maybe today or whenever it is possible, maybe if you can clarify that from our last session, Prabhuji, basically. Last week, morning Bhagavatam class, you were talking about Brahmacharya.
Okay.
So if you can clarify whenever it is possible, Prabhuji, if you are occupied or probably, the topic doesn't come today, anytime is okay. But my question is, what I have learned from some of the speeches of Chagati Garu, that if you are not married and does not give a birth to a boy or girl, whoever it is, your pitru karma will not be completed. So as you are born, you are abided by 4 karmas. One is pitru karma, rishi karma, guru karma, and daiva karma. 4. So all 4 you will have to complete before you die, before you leave the body. And if you do not marry and give birth to a son, your pitru karma will not be completed, is what I understand from the Shastras. I just learned it from his speeches. So when you were talking about Brahmachari and how important it is, it's kind of collided between what the Shastra says there and what is actually the importance of Brahmacharya. Why is it important? If somebody is Brahmachari, then he will not marry and definitely he will not have kids. So So that means he will not be fulfilling the Pitru Karma.
Okay, so I'll try to answer that. Now itself we can answer. Yeah, take it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so 1 second. Let me pen. Okay. 1 minute, Prabhuji.
Sure.
Yeah. It's easy. I can see the reaction also. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. So first of all, let me sing the invocation prayers, then I will answer.
Sure, sure.
Yes. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuro Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayan Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनंदनाय च नंदगोपः कुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गोब्राह्मणाहिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वद्देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नुकुं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपः तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् ओम पवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यत्स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष सभ्याभ्यन्तरं सुचे श्रीविष्णु 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 हरे कृष्ण. So thank you Mataji and Prabhuji for joining. I'll just tell pranam to everyone and then there is a question from which we can get started. Yogesh Prabhu, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Deepti Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Manjula Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Oh, Hima Mataji, you're joining again. Hare Krishna. I saw you in the morning also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Raja Ramesh Prabhu, Tulsi Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Venkatesh Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Shravanti Mataji, Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Vijay Raghavan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. How are you doing, Prabhuji?
I'm fine, Prabhuji. How are you?
Nice. Hare Krishna. God's grace, so far good, so good, Prabhuji. Yeah. So today we are going to begin 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But before that, there is a nice question that Dasraj Prabhu has asked. So I'll try to answer, and then we'll get into Bhagavad Gita. Is that okay, Prabhuji? So the question
Prabhu.
the question that Dasraj Prabhu asked, correct me, Prabhu, if I'm wrong, if I'm not completely understood your question. What you asked is, he heard from Sri Chaganti Garu that Brahmacharya, if one takes, there are certain duties that he cannot perform. That he will have to. I mean, he'll be left out with certain debts in this world. He has to. When he is married, he's able to execute those things by having sons, by removing the pitru related rina, right? And what else? Probably another thing you said. You can maybe repeat your question and I'll answer.
Yeah. So as per the Shastras and what I heard from Chaganti Garu, that when we take birth, when we take a body, there are 4 runas we are born with. One is Pitru Runa, second is Daiva Runa, third is Guru Runa, fourth is Rishi Runa. And before we leave the body, it is mandate that we will have to finish all these runas and then only we can liberate or we can leave the body, is what he says. So my question is, if somebody takes Brahmacharya, then definitely he will not have kids. Then how can he fulfill or complete the Pitru Runa?
That's the question. So did everybody understand the question, Prabhuji and Mataji?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay, good. So Prabhuji, first of all, we should understand that there is a explanation of Shastra. If you go by words, it has a meaning. And then there is a purpose behind that Shastra. There is the essence of that Shastra, right? That is another aspect, which only Acharyas explain. And, unless we understand the purpose behind it, why it was even kept, right? Then we cannot understand the real purpose of it. I mean, the real meaning of it, right? So there are 2 things that we have to discuss here. One is about Pitrarina and second is about Brahmacharya Ashram. The 2 different topics. So we'll take one at a time. As we all know, I don't think we have to spend too much time on Pitrarina, is that the lineage, the family lineage, it's a responsibility of a father to beget sons who will be able to perform certain rituals through which the ancestors can keep getting the benefit, keep getting the spiritual benefit. That's the whole idea. Like Pitra Pakshas or whatever ceremonies that we do every year. We do the Taddinam, for people who have already passed away. So there is a Pitra Loka, and in that Loka, still some ancestors are stuck, right? And they will be delivered if continuously they're getting the benefits from their lineage, right? From their grandchildren. Now, why only Prabhuji's, why not Mati is a different discussion. Let's not, divert into that. That will take in a different tangent. In simple words, even a son can perform, son-in-law can also perform. And if both are not there, even a daughter can perform. It's not like, it is only for that. But Shastra is mentioning sons because generally men are supposed to be more spiritually fixed up than bodily attached. So that's, as I said, that's a big discussion itself. So I don't want to get there. So Pitraruna, yes, it's a responsibility of a son to beget grandsons so that they will continue the Pitra Pakshas, related offerings that is there. Even Dashrath Maharaj, he had many sons, he had many daughters, sons. But then he did not find a capable son. He did not find a son who will actually represent the dynasty. That's when he went ahead and got the special blessings of sages, and he got Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna, right? And then he was satisfied. So having the right son is very, very important. It's not a right son. It's not a son. It's about having a right son. So here is where the purpose of it comes into picture, right? Purpose of it is everybody in this material world ultimately has to go back to Krishna, right? That is the biggest purpose of the whole creation. So for that to happen, we need spiritually inclined children who will themselves deliver, they'll deliver themselves and also deliver the dependents. And they'll also pass on the benefits to the ancestors, right? So ancestors are very happy when somebody becomes a devotee in the family. That yes, now we are going to get some extraordinary benefits. Otherwise, see, they can get delivered only to some extent within the material world, but if they have a devotee son, Lord Nrsimhadev blesses Prahlad Maharaj that 14 generations up and 14 generations down, all of them are going back to Krishna. That is the power of Prahlad, so as a devotee. So the purpose here is you have a son, and the son is a devotee, and the devotee performs those activities so that the pitras, they'll get some benefit. What about if a son is not a devotee and he performs those things? They will still get the benefit, but not the ultimate benefit. Then they'll keep rotating in the material world. But if the son is a devotee or a grandson is a devotee and who is performing it, then they'll get permanent benefit. So that's about Pitra Pakshas, right? So everybody should understand what it means. It's a science in itself, a big topic, so I'll not get into that in detail. Now talking about the Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is an ashram where again, not marrying, does it make you a Brahmachari? Yes. But is that the purpose of being a Brahmachari? No. That's not the purpose of being a Brahmachari. So first of all, any devotee, whether he is a Brahmachari or a Grahastha or a Vanaprastha or a Sannyasi, if he is not becoming a devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna, then he has all the debts to pay if he is there on this planet. Not only a Brahmachari, even a Grahastha, even a, what do you call that, Sannyasi or Vanaprastha or anybody, if they're not becoming a pure devotee, they have so many debts to pay. Pitra Pakshas, yeah, they might pay partially, as I said, benefit only goes partially, not the ultimate benefit. Pitras, our ancestors will get the benefit, they'll get food that they will be enjoying, but they'll be rotating in the material world ultimately, again. But then if you are a devotee, being a grahastha, you're a devotee, and you perform the Pitra Pakshas, then they will get ultimate benefit. Ultimately, the being devotee is the most important thing. And not marrying and marrying, there is one more aspect of it that, whether you're marrying or not marrying, actually from this Varnashrama, you have to go a little above, Daivi Varnashrama, where it doesn't matter. As far as your own personal soul obligations are concerned, if you are a devotee, you have no obligations in the material world, no obligations. Shastra doesn't work for devotees. All this, Shastra, meaning Karma Kanda related Shastra doesn't work on devotees. Meaning, for example, if a devotee leaves his house, he leaves his parents and becomes a brahmachari and is going forward with his devotional life, right? A sincere devotee, not somebody, who's doing it just for without proper maturity. A sincere devotee. Will that result in karma for him? Will that result in some kind of debt for him that he has to come back? No. Bhagavatam very clearly explains. In fact, there are many verses in conversations where Supreme Lord himself has confirmed. I can show that verse actually. Wait a second. Where is it? Give me 1 minute. Shastra Praman is very important. Otherwise, we'll be speaking something. I'm not sharing my screen, right? 1 second. Let me share the screen. Yeah. So Bhagavatam. I think it is 11th canto. 11th or 10th canto, I think. Yeah. 10th canto. Muni Krishna daily activities. Okay. Inhabitants. Mm-hmm. 1 minute. Sorry, please bear with me. Last. 1086:16. 1086.
11.5.41.
Yes. So here, yes.
Prabhu. 11.5.41.
11.5.41, is it?
Oh.
Okay, let me try that. Actually, in many places this is mentioned. I'm trying to remember one, but 11.5.41. Yes. Yeah. So this is Narad Muni's prayer. Yeah, here is saying, O king, one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, it is not indebted to demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away. Since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one who has surrendered to the Lord's service and has no need to serve such persons separately. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very, very grateful. So who told this, Prabhuji? Sorry, I didn't observe.
Krishna Sundar.
Thank you, Krishna Sundar Prabhu. Yeah, so this verse is a direct proof, right? I mean, directly Krishna is speaking here, and Narad Muni is speaking. Actually, I was searching for a verse of Krishna also, which is there in Bhagavatam, where Swayam Krishna says the same thing, that the one who comes to me is not indebted to anybody in this world. In any circumstances, he is not indebted at all. He is completely transcendental to what is happening, right? So that is mentioned very clearly. So coming back, so Prabhuji, basically a brahmachari or a grahastha or a vanaprastha or a sannyasi, if he is completely surrendered to Supreme Lord, he doesn't have any debt to give to anybody. Because bhakti is above all these varnas, right? All these ashramas, bhakti is completely above. So the purpose is what? The purpose of the material world is to awaken the hidden bhakti within all of us. That is the purpose. And all these shastras are slow way of awakening that bhakti, a slow way of awakening that bhakti, right? First it is explained as duty, and slowly the duty turns into love, right? For example, we get married. I'm not saying the love is not there in the beginning, but let's be practical. In earlier days, the parents would select the husband and wife, and the bride and the groom, and they would get married. And they would explain that this is the duty of a husband, this is the duty of a wife. While they perform the duty in the mode of service, love awakens. And that love stays throughout their life till the end. Because that is not duty bound, but that actually based on service. Whereas what is happening today is a different discussion, but what is happening today, we are looking for that love first, and then we think that we are in love, and then we get married, and then we start performing duties which you don't like to do, and then the whole love fades away, and the whole relationship is ruined. Whereas it's actually opposite. Service leads to love. Love doesn't lead to service, right? You need to serve God to receive the love of God. You need to serve your wife to receive the love of wife. To serve the husband to receive the love of husband. That is the right principle. Rather than saying, I love you, so I'll serve. That will not last for too long, because it is that love doesn't have any basis, right? So the purpose of this whole creation is to make sure that we all understand who is God, who am I, and revive the eternal relationship between me and God. Whichever ashram we are in, whether it is Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, right? So we have to go by that principle, which is above the Karma Kanda principle. What Chagantikari might have explained is the Karma Kanda principle, that, oh, if you're not married, then what about children? What about this? That's okay. For example, Ramanujacharya, recently we had the big installation of his great Vigraha, there, and Prime Minister came, so much was done. Brahmacharya left his wife. So he has not done his Pati Dharma properly. In a way, if you look at it, right, he wrote, in fact, he wrote a letter cheating his wife. He wrote a letter as if his father-in-law is writing to his wife. He wrote a letter that my younger daughter is getting married. Please send my daughter to my house so she'll assist me in my activities, and please send her for a long time. If you allow me, son-in-law ji, please send him. Send her like that. He wrote a letter and he posted the letter so it comes to the house. And then he read the letter in front of his wife saying, "Me nana pilustunnadu po." And as soon as she went there, he took sannyas. So now people can say, hey, how a sadhu can do that? How could now he has married, so he has to take care of his marriage responsibilities also. Well, that doesn't apply to Ramanujacharya. It applies to me. I know that I can't leave my wife and run away because I'm not a good devotee. But great devotees can do that. Great devotees can do anything because their purpose of life they understood very clearly, and they are not everybody is a pure devotee, bro. Pure devotees are very rare, and they have no duties. Well, again, duty level. Another example is Sridhar Swami, whose commentary you always very famous commentary of Sridhar Swami, Bhagavatam commentary. So Prabhupada refers to him according to Sridhar Swami. If you read the purports, many places you'll find. Sridhar Swami was a born sadhu, a born renunciate. He cannot live, in this material world. He has to worship the Supreme Lord, but he is forced to marry. He's forced to marry. Now he's married, so what does he do? Right? He has to take care of his wife also. So he's like completely perplexed. But his wife sees that. And this person is not happy with me. And she goes and talks to him. I don't know the full detail there, but this is what I remembered. But basically she says that, Prabhuji, if I'm doing something wrong, please forgive me. But I don't see you happy in married life with me. Is there any mistake I've done? He said, no, you have not done any mistake. Actually, it's me only. I'm totally attached to the Supreme Lord. I want to serve him. But this whole marriage relationship is not allowing me to do what I want to do. Right? And immediately his wife says, glorifiable wife. She says, my dear husband, your happiness is my happiness. If you're not happy, how can I be happy? Give me a son, give me a child, and then you can go. So that at least he will be there to take care of me. I'll take care of him. So Sridhar Swami, and his wife, they procreate a child. But the problem is, as soon as the child is born, she passes away. So he has a child in his hand, even difficult situation, that the wife is gone. She could have maintained herself. Now the child is in his hand and he's like, oh, Krishna, what is this? I wanted to come out of the married life to serve you, and you gave me a child now, and the mother is, while delivering, she left her body. And then he's holding that child and he's crying, and he's meditating and he's crying, oh Krishna, how can I serve you? How can I take care of this child? I don't know how to do this, that is this crying. And then while he's crying and thinking about Krishna, he looks at a lizard. There is a small lizard, that is walking on the roof. Small lizard, baby lizard, you can say, very small baby lizard, just came out of the egg, right? Baby lizard. So this lizard, what happens? It loses its grip and it falls down. Now, when a lizard falls down, actually it hurts. Lizard is not like a bird that it flies. Lizard literally falls, and it's not as light as an ant that nothing happens. Ant, when it falls from a mountain, Mount Everest also, it will fall and it will walk because the body is very light. But lizard, when it falls, actually impact happens on its body. So when the lizard falls in front of him, immediately feel, oh my God, this baby lizard is going to die now. But there is a small insect, right there. So Sridhar Swami is looking like this on the floor, and the lizard falls, it falls, and it turns and it eats that insect. So Sridhar Swami says, what is this? I was worried that this lizard will die. And the lizard fell from such a small lizard, fell from top to bottom on the floor. It turned and immediately saw an insect and it ate. And it found its feed right there. And as soon as it sees that, he immediately keeps the child down. He says, Krishna, I got the message. You take care of my child. And he walks. He just walks. He says that if a small lizard can find its life, right, which Krishna is giving, why am I thinking that I have to take care of this child? You will take care of that. You have taken care of that small lizard, you will take care of my child also. Basically, you conveyed a message to me that I can come and serve you. Now, this is not something that we can apply. These are stories of great acharyas. Sridhar Swami is not an ordinary acharya. So he is showing through his own example for great devotees. So the people who are devoted completely to Krishna don't have any responsibility in this world. But how many such devotees really exist? There are a lot of people who go to Koti, buy saffron color and get it stitched and wear it and say I'm a devotee. Doesn't work like that. Saffron color doesn't make a devotee. You can be in black color clothes also. You can be in white color clothes also. You can still be a devotee. Externals don't matter. Ashram doesn't matter. Whether you are a brahmachari, sannyasi, grahastha, vanaprastha, doesn't matter. Whichever situation, yena kena prakarena, any time of your age, it's not that you're at a young age or an old age. Anytime, even 1 second before your death, you can become a sadhu. 1 second, whole life you lived like a materialist, but 1 second before death, you realize that Krishna is my supreme father. That's enough. Khatwanga Maharaj, that story in Bhagavatam. 1 second before his death, he says, what is that? One muhurta. He asks, when is my death? He said, next muhurta is your death. Immediately close eyes and meditate, he goes back home, back to God. So Krishna doesn't have any of these calculations. What ashram you are, what is this, what is that? Externals. So bhakti is above all this, and brahmacharya will also achieve the perfection. And so what happens to the ancestors of the brahmacharya? Without performing Pitrupaksha, they'll go back home, back to God. Because Pitrupaksha is a ritual only for, karma kandis mostly. Actually, Prabhuji, 99% reciters in today are mostly karma kanda explainers. They don't get into bhakti. It's more karma kanda explanation. Do this. At least that is good. At least that is good. Actually, by performing karma kanda, also slowly you'll come towards bhakti. Slowly, gradual elevation will come towards bhakti. It's a bona fide path. But for devotees who are trying to dedicate their life for Krishna, these all things are not important. But does it mean that the devotee disrespects these activities? No. A devotee, if you ask me, does a devotee need to perform, like a practicing devotee in ISKCON, does he need to perform Pitrupakshas and Shraddha and all that? Yes, he has to perform. Yes, he has to perform. But if he is really a devotee, if he doesn't perform also, Krishna will take care. But a devotee never feels that he's a devotee. That's another greatness of a devotee, that the devotee never feels that, never actually, but genuinely feels that he's a devotee. He's all the time thinking that, I'm actually not qualified to be a devotee. That's the consciousness of a devotee. That is what our acharyas also taught. But Krishna knows the calculation. What he'll do for all his debts. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji's Mataji's, you have any question on the question already? Krishna Sundar Prabhu, you want to say anything?
No, bro, I'm good. Thank you.
You want to add anything? Hare Krishna. So we have some more to Padmavati Mataji, Dandot Pranam, thank you for coming. Priti Mataji, Arun Prabhu, Dandot Pranam, thank you for coming. Shravanti Mataji, Hare Krishna. So any Animesh Prabhu, Gyan Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Mahesh Prabhu has again come. Today morning also we had a long discussion about what was it? About revengeful attitude and how we can come out of it. Was that useful, Dasraj Prabhu, the discussion?
Yes, Prabhu. That's very useful. But as we also discussed, it will take lifetime for us to implement such kind of mentality, especially in Kali Yuga, looking at people around.
Yeah. It's some principles are difficult to implement, but
yeah.
yes.
But that's
But in
the
us,
truth, Prabhu. That's the truth of their life. But for us, at least for people like us, maybe you would have crossed that path as we are
oh no.
just starting. So for us,
I'm speaking theory, Prabhu. Theory. Yeah. No realizations. But yes, by my Siksha Guru used to tell, fake it, fake it, fake it, fake it, fake it, and one day Krishna will make it. Right? So fake that you're a sadhu, fake that you're a sadhu, one day Krishna will make sure that it happens. Yeah. But even faking, you get that guilt feeling after some time. How long can you fake? Right? How long can you do that? Unless you're completely shameless, how long can you pretend that you are a devotee? Anyway, so thank you. So maybe we'll get started with our discussion. We'll do Kirtan at the end. Is that okay, Prabhuji and Matajis? Since we already started discussing.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so we'll go to chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 3 was about Karma Kanda, right? Chapter 3 was about Arjuna asking questions. What should be the duty? What is the duty? And Krishna ended with the devotional service to be performed in all circumstances. And according to your nature, whatever your nature is, you perform. And you should get over your lust and greed. Krishna speaks, you have to get over your lust and greed. That's what, through those duties, you should get over. So now we are getting into chapter 4, which is about Gyana Yoga, right? Karma Yoga, Gyana Yoga. And then next is Karma Yoga with that Gyana, right? And then is Dhyana Yoga. So this is the first 6 chapters. We'll get into transcendental knowledge. These first verses are very, very important verses in Bhagavad Gita. I would request all of you to learn these verses also, right? I'll tell you this first verse, yes. So please mark it in your books that you have to learn this verse. And if you're going to explain Krishna consciousness to people in future, you will have to quote some of these verses. So 4.1 Bhagavad Gita. Please repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Imam Vivasvate Yogam.
Imam Vivasvate Yogam.
Imam Vivasvate Yogam.
Imam Vivasvate Yogam.
Proktavan Aham Avyayam.
Proktavan Aham Avyayam.
Proktavan Aham Avyayam.
Proktavan Aham Avyayam.
Vivasvan Manave Praha.
Vivasvan Manave Praha.
Vivasvan Manave Praha.
Vivasvan Manave Praha.
Manur Ikshvakave Bhavrit.
Manurikshvakave Bravit.
Manur Ikshvakave Bhavit.
Manurikshvakave Bravit.
Yes. So please repeat the translation after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said,
Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said,
I instructed this perishable science
I instructed this imperishable science
of yoga to the sun god,
Of yoga
to the sun god,
Vivasvan,
Vivasvam.
and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu,
And
Vivasvan instructed it to Manu,
the father of mankind,
the
the
father
father of mankind,
and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
and Manu
Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
Right? So the Ikshvaku dynasty, where Lord Ram also appeared. So here Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna that this whole knowledge that I've been telling you about Karma Yoga and application of the principles in Karma Yoga, all this I already told Arjuna. I already told to, I started with Sun God, who is in this millennium, it is Vivaswan. A person named Vivaswan is in charge of the sun planet. And Vivaswan, he told it to Manu, who is the father of mankind. And the Manu later on instructed it to Ikshvaku in his dynasty, right? So he's mentioning that. So let's read the purport. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please focus as I read the purport, Frozen Matajis. Herein, we find the history of Bhagavad Gita traced from a remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets, beginning from the sun planet. The kings of all planets are especially meant for the protection of the inhabitants, and therefore, the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad Gita in order to be able to rule the citizens and protect them from material bondage to lust. Human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path, utilizing the opportunity of the human form of life. In this millennium, the sun god is known as Vivaswan, the king of the sun, which is the origin of all planets within the solar system. In Brahma Samhita, it is said, Yachakshur Esha Savitava Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Sura Murti Rashesha Teja Yasyagnya Brahmati Sambhrita Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Let me worship Lord. Brahma said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda Krishna, who is the original person under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuming immense power and heat. The sun represents the eye of the Supreme Lord and traverses its orbit in obedience to his order. The sun is the king of the planets, and the sun god at present of the name Vivaswan rules the sun planet, which is controlling all other planets by supplementing heat and light. He is rotating under the order of Krishna, and Lord Krishna originally made Vivaswan his first disciple to understand the science of Bhagavad Gita. The Gita is not therefore a speculative treatise for the magnificent mundane scholar, but is a standard book of knowledge coming down from time immemorial. Right? Further explains, in Mahabharata, Shanti Parva 348, 51 and 52, we can trace out the history of Gita as follows. Treta Yugadau Chatato Vivaswan Manavedadau Manuschaloka Britvi Atram Artham Suta Keva Dadau Ikshvakuna Cha Katito Vyapya Lokan Avasthita. In the beginning of the millennium, known as Treta Yuga, this science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivaswan to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of the earth planet and forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Ramachandra appeared. Lord Ramachandra appeared. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in human society from the time of Maharaj Ikshvaku. At the present moment, we have just passed through 5,000 years of the Kali Yuga, which lasts 432,000 years. Before this, there was Dwapara Yuga, 800,000 years, and before that there was Treta Yuga, 1200,000 years, and thus some 2 million years ago, Manu spoke Bhagavad Gita to his disciple and son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of this planet Earth. The age of the current Manu is calculated to last some 305, 3 crores, 30 crores, 53 lakh years, of which 12 crores, 4 lakh years have passed. So accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivaswan, a rough estimate is that Gita was spoken at least 12 crores, 4 lakh years ago. And in human society, it has been extant for 2 million years. It was respoken by the Lord again to Arjuna about 5,000 years ago. That is tough estimate. That is a rough estimate of the history of the Gita. According to the Gita itself, according to the version of the speaker, Lord Sri Krishna, it was spoken to the sun god Vivaswan because he is also a Kshatriya and is the father of all Kshatriyas who are descendants of the sun god, or the Surya Vamsha Kshatriyas. Because Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedas, being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this knowledge is apaurushaya, superhuman. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are without human interpretation, the Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. The mundane wranglers may speculate on the Gita in their own ways, but that is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplinic succession, and it is described herein that the Lord spoke to the sun god, and the sun god spoke to his son Manu, and Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku. Right? So there are further explanations to that. Yeah. So as you can see, Prabhuji and Matajis, that the science of Gita is not 5,000 years old. There is one fool. His name is Zakir Naik. I don't know if you have heard this name. You don't need to hear. He's an unnecessary burden on the planet. That fellow, what he did is he challenged, one person when he came and asked a question about Lord Krishna. He said, "No, your Gita is part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a Purana, and that happened just some years ago. And Puranas are part of Smriti. So Smriti is not accepted as Veda. Shruti is Veda. Smriti is human written. Smriti is given by a God. So you people don't know your own Vedas, and you're coming and telling me about Mahabharata. Who will believe in Gita? Gita doesn't even form a Shastra." He spoke like that. Can you just imagine?
He even claimed that ISKCON able to not answer that question.
Prabhuji?
This guy even claimed that ISKCON is unable to answer this question.
That's because he chooses the most weekend person, and unfortunately the person who went and asked that question is also ISKCON devotee, but not well educated ISKCON devotee, or rather somebody who may not have attended proper classes or any classes. Even within ISKCON, 99% of the devotees are well trained, Prabhuji, in Shastra, that we make sure. But there are some who are either new or who have not paid much attention on the study aspect. They have been favorable and doing devotion. So he went and asked that question, respectfully asked that question, and this fellow gave an answer, but nobody could answer him. How many of you know? I'll tell you something, that many people outside don't know. So this guy got so puffed up, this Zakir Naik, he got so puffed up. He went to ISKCON temple in after the incident, or I don't know when. He went to ISKCON temple in Bombay, Chowpatty temple, and he wanted to meet somebody and start a discussion. So he went and asked for who is the in charge of this temple. So ISKCON Chowpatty temple, actually, my Guru Maharaj is known as Radhanath Swami. He established the temple and he manages, and there are many glorious disciples. In our movement we have Gauranga Prabhu, Radhesham Prabhu, right, and Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. I don't know if you have heard Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. I mean, he's a different level of knowledgeable person. And Gaur Gopal Prabhu, most of us, hear his speeches sometimes, in YouTube. So they're all such disciples. So all of them actually went on yatra. When this fellow Zakir Naik went to the temple, all of them went on Kartik Yatra. Maybe I was also there in that yatra. We went go for Kartik Yatra every year. So practically the whole temple is empty. And only few people are left who manage the services of the temple, the deities and local, congregation when they come, new people. So one junior devotee was sitting there, it seems. One junior devotee was sitting, and this Zakir Naik goes there and he says, "I want to meet your guru." And so one very beginner junior devotee, he asked that, "What do you want? Why do you want to meet?" "No, I have some questions to ask. I think I'll defeat him. I have full answers. You people are not telling the full thing properly. I will tell the full thing properly," something like that. Then this junior devotee said, "Okay, Prabhu, if you want, you can sit down, we can have some discussion. I'll make a note of things, and maybe I'll consult my guru and give you the answers." And it so happened that devotees in the temple, they came and sat there. And this junior devotee who is, is understanding bhakti and practicing, smashed Zakir Naik left, right, and center, quoting from Shastra. And literally with a red face, that fellow ran away. Literally ran away from the temple because he had nothing to say. You can imagine if a beginner devotee in ISKCON can smash, the arguments of Zakir Naik, what happens when he actually comes in discussion with proper devotees, right? These people, they choose the most less educated people outside the parampara in Hinduism to make a mockery of Hinduism. That's what they do. Unfortunately, that's what he also did, right? And but this will never come to limelight, right? That actually he got smashed up in ISKCON temple. He never understood. This will never come. Will he go and tell in the lecture that I went to ISKCON temple and they answered all my questions, and actually I did not have an answer? He will not tell all those things because he wants to spread terrorism. He has ulterior motive. He wants to create an Islamic force to take over India and take over other countries, and all that ulterior motives he has. He will never speak all these things. Even when he had to challenge, whom did he call for challenge? He called Pandit Ravi Shankar. Now Ravi Shankar ji is not this part of parampara. He's not Shastra versed. He's a good yoga teacher, yoga institution owner, and all that. So he called him for a public debate, and he smashed him left, right, and center. He did not have answers. Pandit Ravi Shankar did not have answers. Frankly, he's a art of living is a yoga center. It's not any extremely high spiritual institution. It's a basic spirituality they speak. Mostly it is on yoga. If you go, they have very good doctors. They're very good setup, and nice sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, those explanations he gives. I've also heard his lectures sometimes, and he's good speaker at that level. But quoting from Shastras, throwing the answers back to somebody who challenges like that, he could not do. And to make it worse, he made him look like he's representing Hinduism, and ultimately people who were attending that debate felt that Zakir Naik won. And then Pandit Ravi Shankar ji comes back to his ashram, and he tells to the people there, which is recorded again on YouTube. He says, "No, I didn't answer him because by answering him he cannot become a devotee, so I didn't answer him." That's nonsense. Come on, you should answer. When you're called for a debate, you have to answer and close the matter. So anyway, I don't want to say anything good or bad about anybody here. He's very respectful in whatever he's doing, Pandit Shri Ravi Shankar ji. And we also respect every institution who is doing their contribution in Sanatan Dharma. But people like Zakir Naik, who misinterpret Shastra and completely present in a very different way, not having proper knowledge, and to make matters worse, Hindus today also don't have any knowledge of Bhagavad Gita nor Shastra. They'll listen to such people and they will think what he's speaking is true. Because that is how he speaks, right? It's a verse number this, book number this, page number this, he has so much knowledge. He has so much knowledge. You wouldn't believe there are people in Islam who are against Zakir Naik and who are quoting from Quran and telling that whatever this fellow quoted is wrong. Their own people are objecting. What to speak of Hindus going and objecting? So anyway, so here this verse, why did we get to this direction, is here this verse of Bhagavad Gita very clearly explains that Bhagavad Gita is not something that was only spoken during Kurukshetra. It is not just part of Mahabharata. Bhagavad Gita was spoken many times in the past. Right? He spoke to Vivaswan, Vivaswan spoke to Ikshvaku, and Manu, and Manu spoke to Ikshvaku, and so on and so forth. Right? Like Bhagavatam. When was Bhagavatam spoken, Prabhujis and Matajis? Anybody can tell? You all have bought Bhagavatam sets, right? So when I explained in the introductory thing, when was Bhagavatam spoken? Who spoke to whom?
Sukadeva Goswami.
Yes,
Many times it is spoken. First time Sukadeva.
Exactly. So Sukadeva Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Right? Yeah. But if you really go by the history, where did Sukadeva Goswami learn it from? He learned it from Vyasadeva speaking to his wife. Vedavyas, right? And where did Prahalad learn Bhagavatam? In the womb of his mother Kayadu, when Narad Muni spoke it. Right? So Bhagavatam was spoken many times. And Bhagavatam is there, in on this planet, Earth, we have 18 books or 12 cantos of Bhagavatam. If you go to one more loka above, there the Bhagavatam set will be even bigger. One lorry will come. So many books, right? More detail will be given. So point is, sorry, one second. Yeah. So the point is limited knowledge of Shastra and not proper explanation. I'll tell you one more instance, okay? Because we all will be challenged. Vigraha Aradhana should be done or not. This fellow, Zakir Naik, quotes from one place, in Vedas, says that here it is mentioned, God should not be worshipped in form. He's formless. God is formless. Nirakara, Nirguna, right? And then he quotes that, he should not be worshipped in form like that. But it is also mentioned in the Vedas that he has to be worshipped in his form. It is very clearly mentioned. But it is also mentioned in the Vedas that in the age of Kali Yuga, better don't worship with form. Because you cannot worship perfectly. So if you are worship perfectly. Otherwise, avoid. Instead do Harinam. Harinama kevalam kalau nasteva gatranyata. In this age, you have to worship by chanting the holy names. That is the most favorable process and the perfect process for Kali Yuga. While you say that, you can also say that don't need to perform Vigraha Aradhana. But somebody like Zakir Naik will take that statement and reverse it and show that, see, it is mentioned, we should not perform with form. That is the reason in Islam we worship formless. Right? But what are they worshipping formless? They are worshipping Shivalinga. They are worshipping Shivalinga in between Makkah. That's all is there out there. If you ask them to open the curtains there and show what is there inside Shivalinga. Right? That is also a form only. But then, of course, it's not like a human form, the form that we see Lord Shiva as. Right? But the point is, people misinterpret scriptures with a limited knowledge and they completely create animosity and difference between religions. There is no difference between religions. Right? But they create that in order to create their community and create some fanatic wars between and all that. So anyway, that's a big topic in itself. But because we are discussing about Bhagavad Gita and because Lord Krishna is quoting about the origin of Gita, it gives a very important reason for us to understand this. Otherwise, people today are ruining the authenticity of Gita. How many Gitas are there, Prabhuji and Matajis, today?
So many, Prabhuji.
How many Gitas are there? Tell me. Bhagavad Gita is only one, right? But so many people, even that, what is that, Kailasha Guru? What is his name? The joker on the planet. Nityananda. That fellow also has written a Gita. Can you believe it? His interpretation of Gita. And there are people who are reading that also. A person, I don't want to name him on the call, who openly told that God doesn't exist. Who openly told that God doesn't exist. His definition of God doesn't have any God in it. He tells that Shiva, the word Shiva means nothing. Comes on, floods YouTube with thousands and millions of videos. And when somebody asked him, did you read Bhagavad Gita? He said, I don't need to read Bhagavad Gita. I understood Krishna, so that's Bhagavad Gita. That nonsense fellow also has written commentary on Gita. Can you believe it? There is a book written by him also about Gita, when he has not even read Gita. And he's a guru, worshipable guru. So many like that. If you go from, I'll tell you, just for the argument's sake, I'm telling you, when you go from Medchal, there is a shortcut route from Medchal to Shamirpet. Right? When you cross the Malareddy colleges and they go, then there is a left that goes towards Shamirpet. There you go and see Sai Gita Ashram. I said, what nonsense is this? When did Sai Baba speak about Gita? What has Sai Baba got to do with Bhagavad Gita? It's got nothing to do with Bhagavad Gita. But Sai Gita. Now people stopped reading Bhagavad Gita, they're reading Sai Gita. Ayyo Rama. Right? Are mundu Gita nerchukontra babu. First learn what Krishna has given in Gita. Then go to any of these fake Gitas. That is a problem in this country today. Nobody is teaching Gita properly. And these professional reciters are ready to recite about anybody. Right? They will be asked to speak. They'll speak about anybody. Even if you give money or you don't give money for their pride also, they will also give a commentary on the Nityananda sitting in Kailasha. They'll also talk about that. Professional reciters. Right? ఎవరి గురించైనా మాట్లాడేస్తారు ఇలా. శాస్త్రంలో ఇప్పుడు ఒక వ్యక్తి శాస్త్రంలో ఉన్నాడా లేడా? Is this person mentioned in Shastra? Is his name mentioned in Shastra? Show me the verse number where his name is mentioned. కానీ ఆయన గురించి మాట్లాడమంటే 5 రోజులు 7 రోజులు మాట్లాడేది. They'll speak for 7 days. These professional reciters. That is why Shastra, in Sampradaya, khandistam మేము. We don't allow these professional reciters to speak, and even if they speak, we don't listen, and we don't recommend anybody to listen. But unfortunately, the most popular people on the planet today are these professional reciters. And it is also mentioned in Bhagavatam 12th canto that people will follow only these professional reciters. Nobody will hear from authentic Sampradaya, Parampara. Nobody will hear. People will be more attracted to the professional reciters only. Because they will speak convenient truth. They will speak convenient truth. If you give them money, they will also tell, actually, Krishna కాదండి భగవద్గీత చెప్పింది. మీరు కళ్ళు మూసుకోండి, మీరే చెప్తారు భగవద్గీత. Right? They will go to any extent to get business, paisa. That is going on today. Very unfortunate అండి. అసలు ఆలోచిస్తే ఇంత బాధ అనిపిస్తుంది అంటే మనం హిందువులై ఉండి taking birth in Sanatan Dharma, we are worshipping Ammas, Babas, I don't know what nonsense is going on. We have nice, understanding of Vedas. Bhagavantudu mukkoti Bhagavantudu unnaru, inkoti create cheyalna. Right? I mean, where should we start? At least I am fortunate that, I was running away here and there. Prabhupada caught me and kept me here. I very gratefully thank Prabhupada. Prabhupada, thank you very much. You made me come to Krishna. The ultimate. The cause of all causes. Chala adrushtam andi. Manandaram kuda, we are all in this call. We are all very, very fortunate that we are not going to run after these fake avatars or, useless people. We have directly come to Bhagavad Gita, the highest Eko Shastra. Shankaracharya says, Eko Shastra Vasudeva Putra Geetam. We are reading that. This is the highest. There is nothing beyond this. And we should become devotees, humble devotees, not arrogant devotees. Humble that, yes, we are learning. Krishna, please give me some knowledge, some sukriti that I can understand this. And all of us, Prabhuji and Matajis, in this call, even if one page of Bhagavad Gita, you understood it properly, you are not going to take birth again. One page of Bhagavad Gita, one verse of Bhagavad Gita, you understood it completely. Meaning, you should not keep a single doubt. You're all going back to Godhead. Will not come back to this material world. Will not come back to the material world. This is not me saying. Krishna will tell in 4th chapter. We'll go ahead and read that. Right? So any questions here? Sorry if I was a little heavy on this, but every time I read this verse, I remember all this, things that are happening today in India in the name of devotion. This second verse is also very important. Please make a circle. Actually, the first 4 verses are very, very important of 4th chapter. 4:2. Please repeat after me. Evam parampara praptam.
Evam
Evam
parampara
parampara
Evam parampara praptam.
Evam parampara praptam
Imam rajarasho vidhu.
Imam
Imam
Rajashayo vidhu.
Imam rajashayo vidhu.
Imam Rajashayo
Rajayo vidhu
Sa kalenah mahata.
Sakalena mahata
Sa kalenah mahata.
Sakalena mahata
Yogo nashta parantapa.
Yogo
Parantapa.
Evam parampara praptam evam rajarisho vidhu sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Translation, please repeat after me. This supreme science was thus received
This supreme science was thus received
through the chain of disciplinic succession.
through the
through the chain of disciplinic
Science was
succession.
just received through the chain of disciplinary succession.
And the saintly kings understood it in that way.
and
And
the
the
saintly
saintly kings understood it in that way.
But in course of time, the succession was broken.
but
But
in
in course of time, the succession was broken.
And therefore,
and therefore
the science as it is appears to be lost.
The
The
science
science as it is appears to be lost.
Right? So this supreme science was thus received the chain of disciplinic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken. Therefore, the science as it is appears to be lost. So that is the problem, Prabhuji. Krishna himself is saying that the chain is broken, right? And he re-established the chain by speaking to Arjuna. Whatever he gave to Vivaswan, which to Manu came to Ikshvaku, the whole dynasty was following it. Now the chain is broken, and I'm again re-establishing to you by speaking it, right? So let's read the purport by Prabhupada. It is clearly stated that Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demoniac persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplinic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by Lord himself that the disciplinic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment also, there are many editions of Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to the authorized disciplinic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Shri Krishna. This spirit of demoniac, this spirit is demoniac because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara discipline succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity, but if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations, it is simply a waste of time. Right? So here, Prabhupada is very clearly explaining that, that here, don't try to hear this message from message of God from non-devotees, as milk, a very nutritious food, if touched by a serpent, becomes poisonous, right? Even though it is milk is good for all of us, but it should not be touched by a serpent, right? That is a problem. So Prabhupada Mataji is again, the chain is broken. We are establishing the chain back, right? Very, very clearly. So we have to make sure that whenever we are hearing Bhagavad Gita, we are hearing for somebody who is in Parampara. Parampara, what parampara? Not parampara that you and me have created. There are so many paramparas outside now. That is another problem. They don't understand the meaning of parampara also. Parampara means it is a disciplinic succession created by God himself. Not some guru has created. Okay, 300 years back, my guru created this parampara, so we are part of this parampara. No, that is not parampara. Parampara, Shri Vaishnava Sampradaya is a parampara. Rudra Sampradaya is a parampara. Nimbarka Swami is the Acharya of that. Shri Vaishnava Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya is the Acharya of that. Brahma Sampradaya, Madhvacharya is the Acharya of that. Kumara Sampradaya, sorry, Kumara Sampradaya, it's Nimbarka Swami. Rudra Sampradaya, it is Vishnu Swami. So you have this beautiful successions of paramparas that are there all throughout the country. It's not like you will not find them anywhere. You will find them. But problem is, all paramparas have to start preaching and propagating the knowledge outside. It is reduced to deity worship or temple worship these days. But now, as part of Madhva Sampradaya, as part of the Brahma Sampradaya, Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Guru Parampara Sampradaya, ISKCON is an institution whose primary objective is first preach. First preach the knowledge to everybody. Because without knowledge, people are speaking. They're speculating here and there. Right? Unfortunately, Prabhujis and Matajis, sometimes people wear tilak. People wear tilak as if they are from some sampradaya and they speak nonsense. Complete nonsense they are speaking. Because there is no guru, no? Or the guru you have is a stamp guru. Or stamp page పంపించేస్తాడు or initiation is పంపించేస్తాడు. There is no education given. The guru has to hold on to the person and say, okay, this is what is your knowledge, this is what it is. Right? Look at the glories of Chirajir Swami Maharaj. No, such a big institution, such a big setup he has done. This is what a guru should do, right? And also show that what Ramanujacharya's message is in the form of books, in the form of training. ISKCON also is doing similar kind of training from what Prabhupada has given to us. And Prabhupada's purports are mostly coming from the Bhashyam of Ramanujacharya. How many of you know this? Most of the Bhashyam of Brahmacharya is coming in our purports. So if you are reading the books of ISKCON, it's as good as we are reading the books written by Ramanujacharya. Right? So we should understand from where to learn this knowledge. If we don't know the source properly, our course will be wrong. As simple as that. Right? It's not about how good the knowledge looks like. It's not about how easily you can understand. It's about the source. Vedic knowledge goes by source, not by content. Material things go by content, not by source. Like you can go to Google and you can type, who is God? Should we type? Let's go to. I hope some nonsense will not come, but this is the situation today. Who is God? What is the answer? God in Christianity, Wikipedia, right? And one fellow, our chief minister in Andhra Pradesh even published a Bible saying God is Christ. Where should we go and say? Right? This is the situation. Right? People can type whatever they want to do. I mean, Google has become such a horrible place where if you type, you can even face some very uncomfortable things. I was with my children. My younger son wanted this happened like 6-7 years back. He wanted a picture of a car. Just all he said, I want a picture of a car for his project. I went and typed car pictures I typed. And then I went to images, I had to immediately close it. I don't want anyone to try that, but I'm just telling you, that is Google. Ridiculous thing, which is a search engine, which is algorithm driven, which can show you, tell you things which is not true. And what is the source of the knowledge? Tell me. What is the source of knowledge that you receive from Google? There is no authenticity. So nobody takes responsibility of that. Right? What is the medicine I should have if I have corona? Type in Google. It will tell you 10 things. If you eat one of those things and you fall further sick, can you go and sue somebody? We can't sue anybody because there is no source to it. It's all tagged, information going here and there. You can go and change. Wikipedia, you can go and type in Wikipedia. Do you know that? You can add more. Which means, who am I to add in Wikipedia? I can be anybody. I can be anybody to do anything. But Vedic knowledge is not like that. Vedic knowledge, evam parampara praptam evam rajarisho vidusa kalena mahata yoga nashta parantapa. It is broken because the succession has gone. But it is always to be understood in parampara. It should be understood in disciplinic succession only. Are we all clear, Prabhuji and Mataji? This is a very important fundamentals.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, very, very important fundamentals. If you have a question here, please stop me. Because this is the basis for the remaining Bhagavad Gita to go forward. Please repeat after me. 4.3. Sa evayam maya tedhya. Sa evayam maya tedhya. Yoga prokta puratana. Yoga prokta puratana. Bhaktosmi sakhacheti. Bhaktosmi sakhacheti. Rahasyam hi etaduttamam. Rahasyam hi etaduttamam. Translation. Please repeat after me. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of the science.
Understand the transcendental mystery of this science.
Right? So what is the quality? So what is the, wait a second, I'll try to mute. Yeah. So what is the qualification? You all can unmute if you want to talk. So, so what is the qualification to hear Gita? Here it is very clearly mentioned that you should be a devotee and you should be non-envious of God. You should be a friend. A friend is never envious of another friend, right? So Krishna is telling Arjuna that I am telling you Bhagavad Gita because you are a devotee and you are not envious of me, a friend. Only such people should be explained Bhagavad Gita, and such people will understand Bhagavad Gita. People who are envious of God, even though you tell them Gita, they will never understand Gita. And who are the people who are envious of God? Prabhuji and Mataji? The people who want to enjoy this material world. That's all. There is no big research to be done. Who are the people who are envious of God? The people who want to enjoy this material world. They want to have full enjoyment in this material world, keeping God aside. Even if they keep God with them, they only use God for their enjoyment. Vratalu, yatralu. I have some relatives, Every time I ask them, Ekadna Randi, Kashik Beno, Ekadna Randi, Vrindavanam Beno, Ekadna Randi, Mathura ge, Ekadna Randi, Kailash ge, Ekadna Randi, went to Badrinath. Satsang kostara andi, amma adokate adakandi. Don't ask me to come to satsang. I'll go on yatra. I'll go on Chardham yatra 20 times in a year. But don't ask me to come to satsang. Because why am I going to Chardham yatra? Why am I going to Kedarnath? Why am I going to Rameshwaram? Why am I going to Srirangam? My life should be cool. My life should be comfortable. If there is a God, Bhaiya, I came to you, I gave some money also. You take care of me, I'll take care of you. Ante. Antegani, bhakti towards God, that I have to come to you and surrender. No such concept is discussed. They don't even like it. You make them sit, they will not even sit for 2 minutes to discuss about Gita. There will be hundreds of people, they'll also come and distribute Bhagavad Gita. They'll come for distribution also, but they'll not learn Bhagavad Gita. They'll not learn. Because all these acts are just done for popularization of religion and their motives. Right? If really somebody wants to represent Sanatana Dharma, he should read Bhagavad Gita. You should learn Bhagavad Gita. Then only you can represent Sanatana Dharma. See, I'll tell you, I'm not a totally political person, but I am supporting Bharatiya Janata Party today. But one thing I don't like about Bharatiya Janata Party is they have not mandated understanding Bhagavad Gita to everybody they follow them. They should mandate every single leader or a sub leader in that party should read Gita and should understand Gita in and out. Then they can do better service. Isn't it? How many of you feel like that? The political leader should also learn Bhagavad Gita before speaking about Sanatana Dharma. It's very important. If you don't do that, then there is doggish mentality. Ye tera galli, ye mera galli. Mere galli mein tu pair lagayega, I will kill you. Tere galli mein pair lagaunga, you will attack me. That's dogs, right? Two dogs are fighting. That's not the thing. You should back it up with knowledge, proper knowledge. In fact, any party, whether it is BJP or Congress or any Bajrang Dal or any one of these parties, they should make sure that knowledge is also backed up according to their actions. Then the contribution will be so high. Today, why is Narendra Modi able to do some things which nobody else could do in the past? Because he has read Gita. He knows Gita. Our Prime Minister of India knows Bhagavad Gita. Right? And he has so much respect for Bhagavad Gita. So he is able to do things. And the party is also back. You can see the leadership behind. Right? It's very important. We all should, every leader, if it is another leader tomorrow from some other party also, let him read Gita and come. Let him properly understand Gita and come. Then automatically he'll do the right thing. That is what is needed today. Right? So, Provision Matajis, here it is very clearly explained what is the quality for us to understand Bhagavad Gita. That we should be a devotee, surrender to Krishna, and we should also be non-envious of God. Non-envious of God means I will not enjoy this material world. I will use this material world for the service of Krishna. That is being non-envious. Okay, let's read the purport. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of his great signs, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demoniac, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplining succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Right? So very clearly it is being told one should read from the right source. Yeah. Yeah. So now Krishna has told the source of Gita. Now Arjuna is going to put a question, right? Now see how beautiful the samvad is, right? It's not a blind belief. Arjuna is asking a logical question now. Bhagavad Gita 4.4. Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna Vacha. Aparam bhavato janma.
Aparam bhavato janma.
Aparam bhavato janma.
Aparam bhavato janma.
Param janma vivasvata.
Param janma vivasvata.
Param janma vivasvata.
Param janma vivasvata.
Katham etad vijayaniyam.
Katham etat
Katham etat vijayaniyam.
Katham etad vijaniyam tvam adau proktavan iti. Tvam adau proktavan iti. Translation. Please repeat after me. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the signs to him? Hare Krishna. So the basic question Arjuna is asking, for whose benefit? For our benefit. It's not that Arjuna doesn't know. He is asking this question purely for all of us to understand that Bhagavad Gita is not just Krishna speaking in Kurukshetra. Krishna spoke even in the past. So when people like other people will challenge, Arjuna is himself challenging the Supreme Lord, not challenging, humbly questioning. Right? Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashrena sevaya. So he's asking with seva, with humility, he's asking the question, how am I to understand that in the beginning you told this to the signs to Manu, because sun god himself is so senior to you. So let's hear the purport of Prabhupada. Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord. So how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only, Arjuna inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the Personality of Godhead or Krishna. As it will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything, and the last word in transcendence. So basically in 10th chapter, Arjuna says, that already I know that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as concluded by these great sages. He speaks. So in spite of knowing that he's God, he's still asking this question only for our sake. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Let's continue reading. Of course, Krishna also appeared as a son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is the supreme authority. That Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present but from time immemorial, and the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is authority accepted by all, Arjuna puts this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons, who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. See, it's very important line here, Prabhupada and Mataji. What do the demons do? Being depicted by the demons who always try to distort him in a way understandable to demons and their followers. So Prabhuji and Mataji, you should not translate, nobody should translate Bhagavad Gita in such a way that everybody can understand. It should be translated as it is. So don't try to change the message. You can explain the message later, but don't try to change the message. These people, these unscrupulous, fake commentators, what they do is they try to manipulate the message itself and they try to put it in such a way that everybody will understand. And they think that that is Gita. How many of you got a forward in WhatsApp saying essence of Bhagavad Gita, and for each chapter there is one line or one word? Have you seen that? There is one word like
Yes,
chapter 1, let's meet. Chapter 2, let's understand. Chapter 3, what you do. Chapter 4, what he said, like that. Some fellow would have got PowerPoint skills and some graphic skills. He made that and he sent, and he said essence of Bhagavad Gita, and everybody, I understood Bhagavad Gita. Mere ko aa gaya Bhagavad Gita. Kya hai Bhagavad Gita? That one video they'll show saying that this is what is Bhagavad Gita. Are, why don't you properly learn Bhagavad Gita by the scripture and learn the entire Bhagavad Gita? They'll not learn that. Somebody will write something and they'll think understandable way is not the answer. You have to understand it under a guru. That's the answer. Right? Gita, if you don't understand, sit, serve a guru, sit in the sessions, and you'll understand Bhagavad Gita. But you cannot say that, I can't understand, so it is not useful. Right? You have to spend some time to understand. Right? So here, therefore, when Krishna himself speaks about himself, it is auspicious for all the worlds. To the demons, such explanation by Krishna himself may appear to be strange because the demons always study Krishna from their own standpoint. But those who are devotees heartily welcome the statements of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. The devotees will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him. Sorry, excuse me. I got up a little early, didn't sleep enough. So, the atheists who consider Krishna an ordinary man may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman and that he is Sachidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, and he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature and above the influence of time and space. A devotee of Krishna, like Arjuna, is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of the persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being subject to the modes of material nature. Right? So people who misinterpret, this is what they get. They actually consider Krishna as equal to normal people. Right? So, that in long time back, there was a conference on Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada was also called to that conference. And there were gurus coming from all these, so-called institutions. Not all institutions are bad, but outside parampara, whatever institutions are there, those institution people also came. They also wear saffron. They also have different shapes of tilak they wear. So they come there, and everybody was speaking, and Prabhupada was waiting for his turn. At one point, Prabhupada got up, literally got up and said, "I'm going from here." And Prabhupada disciple, Prabhupada, they called you, they want you to speak about Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada told, these all people are Mayavadis. They are saying they are God, they are saying Krishna is God, they are saying everybody is God. They are saying Krishna came from some no form and he got a form. They are saying all wrong things about Gita. Everybody is speaking about Gita, nobody is speaking about Krishna. Prabhupada told everybody is speaking about Gita, but nobody is speaking about the speaker of Gita, Krishna. They're using Gita's knowledge philosophy for their own popularity, but nobody is talking about Krishna Bhakti. What kind of Gita conference? I'll go. Then the disciple and the organizer, they were told, okay, no, give a chance to Swamiji, he is leaving, so okay, let him speak. Then Prabhupada went on the dais. When he was stopped and requested, he finally went on the dais. And the way he spoke, he literally smashed the wrong philosophy. All these people were speaking all the time. Wrong philosophy. Right? So it's very important that we understand Bhagavad Gita from the right person, and we cannot distinguish between Gita and Krishna.
Prabhuji, what would have happened if Prabhupada left that place without speaking? You said they are not talking about Krishna, so I'll also not talk about anything.
That is the problem, right? We would have read Bhagavad Gita as some anger management book or some stress management book or some yoga centric book, and we would have left it there. Krishna Bhakti would have never come.
Connect this class to morning Bhagavatam's class, Prabhuji. So in that frustration, Prabhupada would have left that place. Then who will give the right knowledge?
That's again a pastime of Acharya, but he was very upset that, people are being misguided. And, after all that nonsense, he's going to be asked to speak. And obviously Prabhupada is like, if I'm going to speak now, everybody will be exposed. Right? Prabhupada chose his own dais to speak to people. There are thousands of people who came and heard from Prabhupada. So at one point, Prabhupada felt, there's no point. And then he again stayed back because he has compassion. Acharya is compassionate. And did he come and speak anything less compromising? No. He came and spoke whatever he wants to speak. And all the people are like, oh, we spoke this, we spoke that. What is this? Swamiji is speaking completely opposite to what we spoke. Prabhupada never compromised. That is why we say Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada doesn't compromise. He will speak as it is, whether you like it or no. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. There is no discussion on that. Right? And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita message is same. So we should understand that. Yeah. So there are some incidents, many such incidents in the past when Prabhupada was here that happened. Yeah. So one of the additional point is, similarly, we should have honest discussions without disrespecting the authority of the speaker devotee in a submissive and inquisitive way. We should ask questions. Definitely we should ask questions, but not disrespectfully. Right? That's very, very important. So the divine nature of Krishna's appearance. Now Krishna speaks about himself. Now the question is asked, what? So Krishna, you were just born, few years before I was born. How come you are saying that you gave this knowledge, like thousands of years ago or millions of years ago to Vivaswan you gave this? How should I understand? For that Krishna answers now, right? So please repeat after me. Bhagavad Gita 4.5. Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Shri
Bhagavan
Vacha
Bahuni me Vyatitani
Bahuni me
Bahuni
vyatitani.
me vyatitani
Bahuni me Vyatitani
Bahuni me
Bahuni me vyatitani
Janmani Tava Charjuna
janmani
Janmani
tavacharjuna.
tava charjuna
Janmani Tava Charjuna
Janmani
Janmani tava
tavacharjuna.
charjuna
Tani Aham Veda Sarvani
Tanyaham
Tani aham veda sarvani
Tani Aham Veda Sarvani
Tani aham
Tanyaham
veda
veda
sarvani
sarvani.
Natvam Vetta Parantapa
Natvam
Na
vetta
tvam veda
parantapa.
parantapa
Natvam Vetta Parantapa.
Tvam
Na
vetta
tvam veda
parantapa.
parantapa.
Translation, please repeat after me. The personality of Godhead said,
The
The
personality of
personality of
Godhead
Godhead
said,
said,
many births both you and I have passed.
many
many
births
births
both
both
you
you
and
and
I
I
have passed.
I can remember all of them,
I can
I
remember
can
all of
remember
them,
all of them,
but you cannot.
but you
but you
cannot.
cannot.
O subduer of the enemy.
Oh,
Oh,
subdue of
subduer
him.
of the enemy.
Right? So Lord Krishna is telling, by the way, Arjuna, many births we both have had. What is another verse where he spoke about this? You were there, I was there, many births.
Natvivaham jatunas.
Natvayam jatunasam natvanvime janadipa na chaivana bhavishyamaha sarvaiva ataparam. Right? So this is actually the first verse that Krishna speaks to Arjuna, after as an instruction with knowledge, right? Where he speaks about this aspect. That there was never a time you do not exist, there was never a time I do not exist, there was never a time we will not exist, and all these kings also will be existing. Right? So here, purport. In Brahma Samhita 5.33, we have information of many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated here, Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yavanam Cha Vedesu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. Right? So here, Lord is, Lord Brahma is telling, I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing form of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest in pure, unalloyed devotees. Right? Very clearly, it is being mentioned that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead without a beginning. It is also stated in Brahma Samhita 5.39. Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tisthan Nanavrataram Akroda Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Parama Pumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of God, Govinda Krishna, who is actually situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Narsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well. But who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. So very clearly, Krishna Swayam Sambhavat, right? See the word Krishna Swayam Sambhavat. Lord Brahma is saying Krishna is that original person, who is the avatari from whom many avatars are coming, right? So let's continue reading the purport. In the Vedas also it is said that Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He is like the Vaidhurya stone, which changes color, yet still remains one. All those multifunctions are understood by the pure unalloyed devotees, but not by a simple study of the Vedas. Vedestu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and wherever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees, and in this verse it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan, Arjuna in a different capacity was also present. Please focus, Prabhuji, it's very important. Here it's Prabhupada explains Arjuna was not only in Kurukshetra, he was also always there with the Supreme Lord. Because we are, and by the way, were you and me there when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Vivaswan?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, we were there.
Yes.
Yes, we were. Of this, there should not be any doubt. Krishna is speaking to us, right? But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna and we is that Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna and we could not remember. Right? What is the difference between part and parcel, living entity, and the Supreme Lord? That is the difference. That's what it is. That is the difference between part and parcel and Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue the enemies, he is unable to recall what had happened in his various past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in Brahma Samhita as infallible, Achyuta, and which means that he never forgets himself, even though he is in the material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects. Even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord, but by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or demon cannot understand his transcendental nature. Consequently, these descriptions in the Gita cannot be understood by demoniac brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers because he does not change his Sachidananda body. He is Advaita. He is Advaita, which means there is no distinction between his body and himself. Everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. And because the Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from that of the ordinary living entity. Even when he descends to the material platform, the demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following verses. Right? So here Lord Krishna is telling, I was there. There is no birth for me, there is no death for me, like you only, but you forgot everything. I remember everything. I also remember the future. Krishna can also tell the future. We cannot tell future. Krishna can even tell the future. So there is some additional explanation here. A living entity can never be equal to God. Mayavadi philosophy proved wrong here. God knows past, present, and future of everyone and everything, whereas a living entity cannot. If we have to see past, present, and future, we have to see it from Shastra. Example, astrology sees it by the calculation of Shastras. Shastras tell our future that if we remain in the mode of ignorance, we will be degraded to animal life. Similarly, the mode of passion and goodness, we will get birth on the same planet and higher planets respectively. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Any questions so far, Prabhuji Matajis?
No, Prabhuji.
Anybody else? Any questions? So we'll do one more verse, Prabhuji Mataji. Is that okay?
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Okay. 4.6. Ajo api shan anyayatma
Ajopi Sannav Yayatma
bhutanam ishvaro api shan
Bhutanam Ishvaro Pisan
prakritim swam adhisthaya
Prakritim Swamadeshaya
sambhavami atma mayaya.
Sambhavami Atma Mayaya.
Yes. Translation. Please repeat after me. Although I am unborn
Although I am
Although I
unborn
am unborn
and my transcendental body never deteriorates,
and my transcendental body never deteriorates,
although I am the Lord of all living entities,
and
although I am the Lord of all living entities,
I still appear in every millennium
I still appear in every millennium
in my original transcendental form.
in my original transcendental form.
Hmm? So here Lord Krishna is again reassuring and telling that I am born, I am unborn, but I appear in my transcendental form. Transcendental means beyond time and space. The meaning of the word transcendental is beyond time and space. Like with time, it doesn't deteriorate. With space, it doesn't shrink. There is no limit to the Supreme Lord, right? So the transcendental word is only applicable for the spiritual matters. In material, you cannot tell anything transcendental. So which never deteriorates. And although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So Krishna appears every millennium, right? So in different forms, in order to attract us, he appears. Krishna can also be seen as a form, but Krishna is not just a form. Krishna is the origin of all forms. He is the Swayam. Krishna appears as Krishna also, along with all other avatars. So he is the mercy of Krishna actually. He has sent so many avatars, but still he also chooses to come. Please pay attention. Can somebody read the purport, Prabhuji and Matajis, on the screen?
Yeah, I will read. Prabhuji.
Yeah, Arvind Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah. The Lord has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth. Although he may appear like an ordinary person, he remembers everything of his many past births, whereas a common man cannot remember what he has done even a few hours before. If someone is asked what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, it would be very difficult for a common man to answer immediately. He would surely have to dredge his memory to recall what he was doing exactly the same time one day before. And yet, men often dare claim to be God or Krishna. One should not be misled by such meaningless claims. Then again, the Lord explains his Prakriti or his form. Prakriti means nature as well as Swarupa or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body. As the common living entity changes from one body to the other, the conditioned soul may have one kind of body in the present birth, but he has a different body in the next birth. In the material world, the living entity has no fixed body, but transmigrates from one body to another. The Lord, however, does not do so. Whenever he appears, he does in the same original body by his internal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. He appears exactly in his eternal body, uncontaminated by this material world. Although he appears in the same transcendental body and is Lord of the universe, it still appears that he takes his birth like an ordinary living entity. And although his body does not deteriorate like a material body, it still appears that Lord Krishna grows from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth. But astonishingly enough, he never ages beyond youth. At the time of the Battle of Kurukshetra, he had many grandchildren at home. Or in other words, he had sufficiently aged by material calculations. Still he looked just like a young man, 20 or 25 years old. We never see a picture of Krishna in old age because he never grows old like us. Although he is the oldest person in the whole creation, past, present, and future, neither his body nor his intelligence ever deteriorates or changes.
Hare Krishna, sorry, I was speaking on mute. So I was just saying that this part of the purport is very self-explanatory. Any questions on what you have read so far? So let me ask some questions if you're not asking a question. Does God become old as he grows?
Never, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji.
Huh? Does God have a big beard,
No.
white big beard after some time?
No.
No, Prabhuji.
Only in some imaginary photographs, Prabhuji.
So
And
imaginary photographs are made.
Some people claim God has that white beard and that
Old. He's the oldest one, no? So they'll make him old
oldest
also.
white and white hair.
Yeah, white hair and all that, right? Yeah, so absolutely not. He is Nava Yavanamcha. Actually, we cannot even say that he is young. He is always the highest in his personality. See, people quote young because young age is when you are totally energetic and you have all your muscles and organs perfectly functioning and all that, right? So people say, okay, God is young. God, it doesn't have to be young, old, or anything. His quality of existence is beyond our measurement of young, young or old or adolescent. God is God. Even when he was few days old, he killed Putna. And even when he was in his youth, he killed Kamsa. Right? And he lifted Govardhan when he was 7 years old. Does it mean he cannot lift 7-year-old when he was an infant? He can lift anything, anytime. So there is, just for our explanation, the Devatas and the Shastras say Navayavanamcha. He's always young and youthful. Yes, he's always beautiful. Because we think that we are beautiful in our young age. So they say that God is also in the young age. But this is an explanation for our understanding. God is always young, meaning he's always the original, most beautiful. Because we think we are most beautiful in young age. Is said Navayavanamcha. He's always in the most beautiful form, and he doesn't have anything like old age. Of course, he also shows the Leela. Of when he comes on the planet Earth, he shows that he's a little Krishna. Then he becomes young Krishna, adolescent, Pauganda. All that age spans he goes through, and finally he becomes a Yavana and all that. But it's not that he ever grows old at all, right? He shows himself in different forms, and simultaneously also he can show himself as young. At the same time, he can show himself as old, and there is no old and young for God. Are you all understanding, Prabhuji and Mataji? We should not interpret God's form with our whimsical small understanding. That is the whole point.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji. Sometimes I think he has been representing himself in all these ages to show that he is living amongst mankind. Sometimes I'm not sure if that's true.
No, I didn't understand the question. What do you say when you?
So sometimes, see, in Bhagavad Gita, they show that Krishna in different ages, right? Childhood, adolescent, and so the growth. So Krishna is growing up, right? In Bhagavad Gita also. So what I think,
go ahead.
maybe I may be wrong also, I don't know.
No, compute your question, I'll answer.
So what I think is they have represented Krishna in different age groups to tell us that Krishna is one amongst us. I mean, he is also one amongst us in mankind, in the society. He is living amongst us within the mankind. That is what is my impression. I don't know whether that's true or not.
No, there's nothing wrong thinking like that. There's nothing wrong. You cannot. I'll not say that there's anything wrong in thinking like that, but that is not the full understanding. See, when Krishna actually in the Goloka Vrindavan, you will never see Krishna in a small boy. You want to see Krishna as a small boy, you have to appear. You have to come to material world and see Krishna as a small boy. Because in material world, Krishna performs that leela of he taking birth, he is growing up, he is playing with he is Gopas, and then he's going to Mathura, killing Kamsa, then he becomes Raja, then he goes to Gurukul, then he he becomes a king, right? He makes Ugrasena the king, he supports him, then he also goes to wars. So all this progression of life is shown when he appears in the material, because that is the nature of the material world, and he shows himself. But even when he's showing himself according to the rules of material world, that you age, he doesn't age. That is what Shastra is telling. He actually doesn't age. but he shows that as if he's aging. But even when they are showing that he's aging, still he doesn't age. It's contradicting the whole thing, right? Whereas the spiritual world, he's Nava Yavanamcha. When Brahmaji is singing this Brahma Samhita, he's not seeing Krishna in the material world when he appears. He's seeing Krishna in the spiritual world. He's saying this Lord is Nava Yavana. He's always that tender, that beautiful, lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead. He never ages. In the material world, he looks to be aging, but that aging is not resulting in deterioration of his beauty, whereas it is enhancing his beauty. It is day by day, week after week, is just enhancing his beauty. But yes, as you said, just to make us understand, that how he is when he is young, adolescent, and all that, he is showing that to us in the material world. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. Who else can read? I want Mataji to read the next.
Prabhuji, one small question, Prabhuji. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Actually, here it is mentioned that it's not like human beings where we take one body after the other, but Lord Krishna, he doesn't do so, but he has his own original body. So what I did not understand is it is mentioned that it is uncontaminated by this material world. Yes. But actually he was hit by that arrow, right, Prabhuji? So I mean, like how it's mentioned as not contaminated by this material world.
Well, he was hit by the arrow because he wanted it to hit him. Right? In fact, even Bhishma hit so many arrows on Krishna. If you read Mahabharata, in the battlefield, Krishna was literally bleeding. Blood was coming out of Krishna. When Krishna was, hitting, Krishna was hitting, Bhishma was actually hitting Krishna, because that is the technique of war. You bring down the driver of the chariot, so you can next easily attack the person on the chariot. And he did that uncompromisingly. And Krishna also was bleeding, but his blood and our blood are not same. Right? He can bleed forever and never get affected. We bleed half liter and we are faint. Right? So we cannot compare the body of Krishna and our body at all, ever. Even when he takes material body, in fact, 9th chapter 11th sloka says, that people who think that my material body is material are fools, mudha. These people are fools. Right? They don't understand my transcendental body. My transcendental body is God, and he has his original form. And Krishna's original form can be seen even when he's there in the material world. It's not like Krishna in the material world looks different from Krishna in the spiritual world. You know what I'm saying? Krishna in spiritual world is very beautiful. In the material world is not that. No, same Krishna is equally beautiful here, because it's the same Krishna. There is no difference in the form. It's the same beauty, same attraction. And that is the original. So the Krishna that you have seen here is the same Krishna you'll see there also. It's not that, you want to see a different Krishna there. Right? We can, so Krishna is clarifying. Prabhupada is also clarifying that Krishna is always the most beautiful, always the most attractive in the spiritual world, and even when he appears here. Brahma Lila, Bhama Vrindavan Lila, we say that. But the same Vrindavan Lila that happens eternally there is happening here.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yep, thank you.
No, did I answer? If you're not convinced, you can.
No, I understood, Prabhuji. Actually, when it was mentioned, it is uncontaminated by this material world, I was confused actually.
So Prabhuji, say, coming back to contamination. Now, Krishna even killed Kamsa. He must have touched him to kill Kamsa also. Did it contaminate him? No. Because Krishna is beyond the contamination or anything of this material world. Right? None of the material modes can contaminate him. He is above the material modes. He is above the Triguna. Right? He is above everything. In fact, when somebody touches him, they become purified. Forget about them contaminating. For example, Yamuna was going again and again and trying to touch the feet of Krishna when he was born, so that it can become purified. Ganga runs towards Krishna's feet to get purified. Right? Everywhere, anything that touches Krishna is purified. In fact, there is a mention of Kubza. How many have read the story of Kubza? The story of Kubza is when Krishna goes to. Is it okay if I speak for a few minutes on, little
Yes,
away
Prabhuji,
from?
yes, please.
So Kubza is one lady who is what do you call that? She has a problem with her back, right? It's completely three-bended back, meaning hunchback. They say hunchback, or I forgot the exact word. So she can't stand straightly. She always stands like this. Barely can look up, right? Her back is all broken up. So she makes chandan for Kamsa. Her job in Mathura is she makes sandalwood paste, and along with many others, she makes incense to Kamsa. So when Krishna goes along with his friends to Mathura for the first time, and he's going to meet Kamsa the next day, so he's wandering, he's going around with his friends in Mathura, and he comes across many people. So Krishna goes and asks flowers from a garland person. Immediately the garland person immediately gives flowers. Ah, Krishna, if I don't give to you, whom will I give to? And they all know that if Kamsa gets to know that they have given that flowers to Krishna, they'll be killed. They'll be murdered then and there. But still they did it because they're so attracted to Krishna. At the same time, one dhobi, he doesn't give clothes to Krishna. And Krishna says, I want some clothes that you have. These clothes belong to the dynasty. Who are you, one useless fellow coming from Vraja? How can you even dream of having these clothes? Like that he speaks. Immediately Krishna smashes him. He goes right underneath the earth. It's finished. Delivered right there. But when they're delivered by Krishna, they don't go to Naraka, they go to Goloka. That's a different thing. So then Kubza comes. Now, Kubza is a very unique situation. She comes, she's a young girl, but she's hunchbacked. She's completely disfigured. She can't even look up. Like that is the situation, totally bending down. And Krishna looks at her and he sees the plate of chandan in her hands. And I want the chandan. And immediately Kubza is so happy that she's barely trying to get up, but she's not able to get up to keep the chandan, on his face. She wants to keep chandan on his forehead. And Krishna says, okay, you try, I will help you. You try. And it is explained, Krishna takes his hand and keeps it under her jaw. And one of the feet, Krishna keeps on her toe. Right? And just lifts her like this. And Bhagavatam explains, he gives a small jerk. One jerk he gives. Right? And Acharya explain, we all need that jerk to become Krishna conscious. Krishna is straightening up. So when Krishna is straightening up in spiritual life, he also gives some jerks. There is a big commentary on that one verse. Gurus have spoken for days that Krishna's jerk. So Krishna gives that jerk to her, that little shock, that just straightens her. And she becomes so happy and she keeps the chandan on Krishna's face. And then she develops a desire. She develops a desire that I want to physically associate with you. What a desire, man has on a woman, opposite sex desire, the same desire she has. And is that desire pure? No, that's bodily desire. But on whom is she desiring? Krishna. Right? The source of everybody. We all come from Krishna. And Krishna, does he reject, saying, what kind of a person are you? This material desire. I have touched you. You should ask for devotion. What kind of no, he didn't say all that. Krishna promises her that, Kubza, right now I'm busy. I have to go around the remaining part of Mathura. When I settle down, I'll come. When I settle down, everything is okay, I'll come. And actually Krishna comes. If you read Bhagavatam, he comes later. He goes to Gurukul, comes back and is with his friend Uddhava. He comes to meet Kubza. For fulfilling what? If you go by material plane, that is the most abominable activity. But Krishna respects even that desire of his devotee. Right? And Krishna comes. And it's explained that Kubza, she creates such a lusty environment in her house with all curtains flowing, flying in the air and aroma, sandalwood paste, and so much nice smell coming around. Bhagavatam explains that it was completely for pleasure between for mating. That is the environment she creates. And Uddhava is standing outside the house thinking, "Ye Krishna kya karne wala hai?" Krishna takes Uddhava. He says, "Uddhava, you stand outside. One devotee is waiting for me inside. I'll go inside." Right? I mean, these stories are not discussed in public with normal people. We are discussing here because we are all devotees. We are practicing devotees. Like Krishna says, right? Bhaktosmi sakha cheti. I am telling this knowledge because you are a devotee and a friend to me. Only then this part of Bhagavatam is described. So Krishna actually goes inside, and he goes and he sits on the bed. He literally is ready, sitting on the bed. And Kubza is coming there in beautiful clothes and very, with unrestricted attraction. Like she comes towards Krishna, and Krishna keeps his hand on her head. Right? And that very touch, she is completely purified. In fact, her desire is fulfilled beyond her physical attraction desire that she had. And then she says, "Oh Govinda, your mere touch has purified me." Right? Even though, now is Krishna contaminated by this? No. Nobody can
Prabhu.
contaminate Krishna. Nobody can contaminate. Acharyas explain Krishna is like the sunlight. Everything of this material world is like stool. Right? Every opulence of this material world is like stool. When sunlight falls on the stool, does the sunlight get contaminated? No. In fact, it dries the stool. Right? Stool is stool, whether it is dried or fresh. But stool is stool. But then sunlight doesn't get contaminated. So is Krishna. He is in this world, but he is not of this world. Nothing in this planet, nothing in the existence can contaminate Krishna. Contamination itself cannot contaminate Krishna. Like fear itself cannot make Krishna fearful. Krishna is fear personified. Krishna is purity personified. Everything he touches becomes transcendental and blissful and divine. Everything he touches. And that is why we all also are trying to practice Krishna consciousness, so that one day he will come and touch us. Right? Krishna does this touch thing to many people. He also touches Dhruva. Today morning we are discussing Dhruva Lila. So if you read the Dhruva Lila in Bhagavatam, after hearing all the prayers, Krishna, after giving darshan, then Krishna touches Dhruva. As soon as Krishna touches Dhruva, like a blessing he touches, immediately Dhruva's all material desires are gone. Completely. He came there to ask for the kingdom greater than his grandfather. He says, "I don't want all that. I just want your devotional service." Then Krishna says, "No, no, no, you still have to take it." "No, no, I don't want it." Because by Krishna's touch, he's completely purified. So Krishna's touch is like that. And it doesn't get contaminated by anything of this world. Contamination is only applicable for material beings like us. We can get contaminated. I mean, we also are part of Krishna, divine souls, but we have a tendency of getting contaminated or accepting contamination. But Krishna can never be contaminated. He can be with unlimited gopis in the mid of the night, dancing with them, but he can never get contaminated. It's beyond the conception of normal people.
Very true, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we even discussed that story of Durvas Muni and Krishna, right? He comes to meet him, and he's on the other side of Yamuna. And Krishna says, "I'm a brahmachari. Go tell Yamuna, it will give his way." Right? You can't understand how is he a brahmachari when he is with all the gopis. Well, he is not enjoying them. He is giving them enjoyment. Right? So that is the difference.
True.
Yeah. So can any Mataji read the 1 second? Yeah, the second page of the purport.
Prabhuji.
Yeah, please, Mataji.
Therefore, it is clear that in spite of his being in the material world, he is the same unborn, eternal form of bliss and knowledge, changeless in his transcendental body and intelligence. Factually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising, moving before us, and then disappearing from our eyesight. When the sun is out of sight, we think that the sun is set. And when the sun is before our eyes, we think that the sun is on the horizon. Actually, the sun is always in its fixed position. But owing to our defective, insufficient senses, we calculate the appearance and disappearance of the sun in the sky. And because Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are completely different from that of any ordinary common living entity, it is evident that he is eternal, blissful knowledge by his internal potency, and he is never contaminated by material nature. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unborn, yet he still appears to take his birth in multi-manifestations. The Vedic supplementary literatures also confirm that even though the Lord appears to be taking his birth, he is still without change of body. In the Bhagavatam, he appears before his mother as Narayana, with 4 hands and the decorations of the 6 kinds of full opulences. His appearance in his original eternal form is his causeless mercy, bestowed upon the living entities so that they can concentrate on the Supreme Lord as he is, and not on mental concoctions or imaginations which the impersonalist wrongly thinks that the Lord's forms to be. The word Maya or Atma Maya refers to the Lord's causeless mercy. According to the Vishwakosa dictionary, the Lord is conscious of all of his previous appearances and disappearances. But a common living entity forgets everything about his past body as soon as he gets another body. He is the Lord of all living entities because he performs wonderful and superhuman activities while he is on this earth. Therefore, the Lord is always the same absolute truth and is without differentiation between his form and self, or between his quality and body. A question may now be raised as to why the Lord appears and disappears in this world. This is explained in the next verse.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So nicely read. Thank you, Manjula Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, I think it's self-explanatory of what is mentioned here. If anybody has any questions, we can take it. Right? Prabhupada, very simple words, he has kept the entire purport, so anybody can understand. So, Prabhuji and Matajis, we cannot make a murti of God according to our whimsical thought process. Remember that. You know, for example, when Prabhupada was there, they used to make, even now they are making, but when Prabhupada was there, he asked the foreign devotees to make paintings of Krishna, right? So they would paint Krishna, Radharani, Krishna, and gopis, gopas, all that, and then the different pastimes of Krishna, they will paint and create. So they would bring that painting in front of Prabhupada and show, Prabhupada, here is a painting. And you would be surprised to know that many paintings Prabhupada rejected. He didn't accept, even though the painting was so good. Technically, painting is very good. Krishna is also looking attractive. Like in one painting, one Mataji made beautiful Krishna sitting in Vrindavan like this. And Prabhupada looked at that painting and said, no, this is not what I told you. This is not what Krishna does. I said, Prabhupada, you told me Krishna's features are exactly made like that. And then Prabhupada said, no, Krishna is never alone. When did I say in Vrindavan Krishna is alone? There has to be somebody with him. Like cows should be with him, or gopas or gopis should be with him. Peacock should be with him. With so many bumblebees, we should be with him. So many devotees. How can Krishna be alone? Where in Bhagavatam it is mentioned Krishna is sitting alone? Simple detail also Prabhupada rejected. That it cannot be according to our whimsical thought process. Supreme Lord, what he does, how he looks is exactly mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Do it like that. Don't have to concoct anything. There is a verse when Krishna returns to Dwarka. There is a verse which explains how he looks like, what is his dress, and how his earrings look like, how his necklace look like, how his dress looks like, what color, everything. And when devotee made that painting, literally everything from the verse was compared. Everything on the verse was compared, that this is this is the color, here is the earring, here is the and including the emotion that Krishna was showing was mentioned, and the emotion had to come on the Krishna's face, and then Prabhupada said, okay. And that is why Prabhupada told these pictures that devotees have made in ISKCON society are windows of spiritual world. When you see from a window, you see something outside, right? So Prabhupada said they are windows of spiritual world. When you actually keep those pictures, like please come to our home now. We also again printed some pictures and we kept it. In the old house, we kept the pictures there. So whoever comes there will look at the pictures and become devotee. Leave as many pictures everywhere. People will become just by seeing them, because they are windows to the spiritual world. That is Krishna. That is what is Krishna. Don't have to imagine. See, there are many painters. I don't want to name some people, but they're very famous painters in South India for Krishna. But they're not from any parampara. They're not from any devotional background. They create lusty paintings of Krishna. Krishna and Radharani, very uncomfortably sitting, very uncomfortably, dressed. I don't know if you've seen that kind of paintings. Unfortunately, those paintings are mostly sold and distributed. But in ISKCON, you'll never see such painting. Every painting is so beautiful, so respectful, so much to the ways Krishna is explained in scriptures. To the way Krishna explains scriptures. If you come to Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, Panchatattva is there. We should have all gone there. We'll go someday, definitely. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is standing like this. The exact size of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is as per Shastra. Size of his body, size of his hand, size of his legs, size of his head, size of his nose. Every little detail is taken, and then the Vigraha is established. Vigraha is molded and it is established. Right? It is not like, oh, I thought something like that and I made something like that. No. The Venkateshwara Swami in Tirumala is exactly the way Lord Krishna is. It's not like, no, you can't do that. Of course, devotees' eyes are very different. A devotee can see Krishna in the Vigraha very clearly, even though he looks so small also. Right? In Vrindavan, there are deities of Sri Krishna by 6 Goswamis. Rupa Sanatana, Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta Goswami. They all have established, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, they have established the deities. So every deity has a special feature of Krishna being revealed. Radha Madan Mohan deity shows the eyes of Krishna. Radha Gopinath deity shows the legs of Krishna. Exactly like in the spiritual world. And Radha Raman deity shows everything about Krishna. Radha Govinda deity shows the chest of Krishna. Right? And Radha Raman deity shows the face, chest, legs, entire body of Krishna as it is. That was worshipped by Gopala Bhatta Goswami. Now, if you and me go and say, Prabhuji, itle unnaya, kal itle unnaya, kal itle unnaya, ganavadu. You will still see, you cannot. I mean, how can you? You need the devotional eyes. But Goswamis have revealed that this is Krishna, So when we go there, we should go there with faith. Without faith, you can't understand God. And when you understand God, you get more faith. So in order to start business, you need some cash. Right? When you put cash, you get more cash from business. Right? So in the same way, if you want to get more faith, you have to invest some faith. And that is why Krishna says, Bhaktosmi Sakacheti. I am understood only by my devotees. If you are not my devotee, you cannot understand me. The locker to open Bhagavad Gita is bhakti. And what you get after opening Bhagavad Gita is also bhakti. Right? So that is how it is. So thank you very much, Prabhuji and Matajis, for your patience, audience, and for hearing and actually coming to these online classes. I don't know how patient you are. If I am you, I would have run away by now. How can you attend classes like this for hours and hours just hearing? I don't know. You're very tolerant, and this should be our last online class, if I'm right. Next week, actually, there is one. My Siksha Guru, his name is Yugal Kishore Prabhu. Is coming from US, and he's a Brahmachari. He's traveling to Mayapur. On the way, he's stopping. So we are arranging a program on Sunday morning, and you all can come and join. It's most probably it will be in VSK. you know, outdoor kind of program we are planning, or if it will be in some of the halls. One of the hall we'll take and we'll do it bigger place. So please plan for it next week. I'll let you know in advance, right? Take his association, wonderful devotee, is a Telugu devotee from Vishakhapatnam, and he has brought so many people to Krishna consciousness, can't even think of. He was of course, every sadhu has a past which you need not know, but just to let you know, he was a manager in the vocation in software way back in early 90s, and then he left that profession. From Singapore he traveled um, to US, and in US he took Diksha from his guru, and then he took a Brahmacharya. For the last 20-25 years he's teaching, an unbelievable pure soul, and when he speaks you can feel it, with the enthusiasm with which he speaks. So don't miss his association. um, Corona is almost gone. It's in the last leg right now, so it's going away. Already schools have opened, offices are all opening, so many public places are opening, and most actually this time not much close, so you can still come, and we are keeping it in outdoors so that we'll be even more relieved, na? So even more doubt free that okay, it's outdoor, so it's easier in the sun. So please come. And next week onwards, from the weekend of 20th, we will be having in-person satsangs. Already last time 4 families had given their names for satsang in their house. You can still write to me again, or I'll write you back saying, are you still okay to start the satsangs in Avatar again? So we'll start there. Okay. Hari bol.
Sure,
So we have Narshing Arti by the 2 Lavakushas of Dasraj Prabhu, Manasa Mataji. Yes. Artara. You want the song on the screen, or they okay?
Namaste. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Hari bol.
Namaste Narasimhaya Pararadantarine
Nyakashi. Sing.
Purvaksha Shriratanakanakalaye Ito Narasimha Bharato Narasimha Yato yami tato Narasimha Paye Narasimha Udaye Narasimha Narasimha Madin Charanam Prapate Tava Karakamalaware Nakam Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashiputanu Brindam Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tavakarakamalaware Nakam
Adbhuta
Adbhuta
Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu
Hiranyakashiputanu
Brindam
Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narasimha Dev Narasimha Dev Narasimha Dev Jaya Narasimha Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya
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 Prabhupada
Prabhupada
Prabhupada Prabhupada
Prabhupada
Jaya
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 Prabhupada
Prabhupada
Jaya
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 Gurudev 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 Jaya
Haribol! Hare Krishna. Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If you sing like this, really Lord Krishna will run and come here. Then chakka unaru iddaru. Wife just came here. Thank you, Dasraj Prabhu, for so nicely training your children, exemplifying really. They're fortunate to be born in your house, and so nicely you are cultivating Krishna consciousness in them. They are the future of this country. They are the future of Sanatan Dharma. And all the children actually of the satsang are going to play a very important role in future. Thank you very much. And
all your guidance and inspiration,
oh, no,
Prabhuji.
I'm
Without
nobody,
you,
Prabhuji.
we are nothing. You would have been nowhere. It's all because of you.
No, Prabhuji. I'm nobody here, but I'm so grateful that the whole families are coming. That's the whole that was the purpose of the satsang. Satsang should bring families together. Right? Satsang should not divide families. They should bring families together, and all of you are coming together, and it's and spending so much time Sunday morning. Some of you from morning 7 o'clock onwards. I'm so grateful, and some even from morning. What is it? 5 o'clock. Sanjay Prabhu, I'm seeing it from 5 o'clock in the morning. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhobhya evacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaura Hari Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Have a safe next week. So we all can definitely meet together. I'm very eager to meet all of you. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Projan Mataji, Shavanti Mataji, Padmavati Mataji, everybody, Maheshwar Prabhu, Manjula Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Vijay Ravan Prabhu, Yogesh Prabhu and Dipti Mataji, Venkatesh Prabhu and family.
Prabhuji, next Saturday, that meeting outside
yes,
the temple.
Yes. Maheshwar Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yeah,
Yes.
Maheshwar Prabhu. Can we meet next Saturday, Prabhuji, at the temple land there once? So we can start planning how to conduct satsangs. Oh, you're on mute, Prabhuji. You're on mute.
ప్రభుజీ
Yes, Prabhuji.
సాటర్డే అక్కడ అన్నప్రసాదం ఉంటది ప్రభుజీ మధ్యాహ్నము. ఇక్కడ మన సండే అయితే బాగుంటది ప్రభుజీ అట్లా.
అవునా? సో నెక్స్ట్ సండే మార్నింగ్ ఒక 9 o'clock కలుసుకుందాం ప్రభుజీ.
ఓకే ఓకే
9:30.
ఓకే.
ఎందుకంటే ఆ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఎక్కడ ఉంటుందో నాకు తెలియదు. నాది ఐ లెట్ యు నో ప్రభుజీ. అది అంటే మా యుఎస్కేలో ఉంటే కూడా మనం మళ్ళీ అక్కడికి వెళ్ళాలి కదా. లేకపోతే ప్రభుజీ కెన్ వి మీట్ సాటర్డే ఈవినింగ్ నెక్స్ట్ వీక్?
ప్రభు అలా అయితే సాటర్డే జస్ట్ ఓన్లీ మన కలవడానికి ఎట్లా అంటే సాటర్డే మార్నింగ్ కలవచ్చు ప్రభు. ఇక్కడ
అదే వస్తాను. We will also participate in Annadhanam. We will also participate there.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji.
We can do some nice kirtan also if it is possible.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we'll come around 10 o'clock, around 10:30. We'll plan there.
10:30, 11 to 12, no problem, Prabhuji.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Prabhuji. Thank you, Arvind Prabhu, for reminding.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna Sundar Prabhu.